Okay, so you want me to kick off and introduce
Yeah,
you, Sandy?
absolutely.
All right, well, welcome to Ask Me Anything about Sandy's 2022 luxury cruise to Floriade and European Gardens. I'm real excited that we did this tonight, and we thank all of you who came through LinkedIn or however else you came through. Of course, you probably already know Sandy, but let me just say Sandy Lipkowitz, owner and founder of We Make Travel Easy in San Francisco, 2021 Conde Nast Top Travel Specialist, which is a huge honor, and I know that was wonderful to receive, so good for you for that. And her bio says she's been to 5 continents, which I think is amazing right there, but 71 countries. Is that still accurate?
Well, it would have been more, but COVID kind of put
Yeah,
a pause, but
right.
we'll be catching up really quick.
Yes, with some wonderful imagery of everything from 5-star chateaus to sitting next to chickens on a bus and everything in between. And I think that's just so wonderful. Anyway, she has savored extraordinary moments all over the world and forges connections with top travel talent all over the world to show you a side of a destination you never see. And I think what we're about to find out is this Floriade, which I had never heard of until a few months ago when I met Sandy, looks like a dream come true if you're into anything green or anything into green cities. I think it's just amazing. So just to let you know, we will be asking you if you have questions to put them in the chat down below. Molly is good enough to pull the chat questions together. Your question may not be answered directly, but we're going to try to aggregate questions that are similar along the theme and answer those questions. At the end of Sandy's presentation, at the end of the Q&A, if you still have questions, we ask you to raise your hands by going down to the bottom, and you can click on
Reactions.
the reactions and raise your hand. That'll put something up into the top left of your screen, and Molly will be able to call on you, and Sandy will answer those for you. There will be a PDF of the slides that Sandy will show. If you'd like to receive them by email, please put your email address in the chat below saying you'd like a copy of the slides. We'll get them out to you tomorrow or the next day. And finally, there will be the recording of this presentation. It will be up on Sandy's company's YouTube channel tomorrow, this evening, or tomorrow morning. You'll probably see it this evening if you're on the West Coast. So no more, you don't want to hear from me anymore. Let's go to Sandy. Sandy, please take it away. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all for coming. I'm gonna take a second here and share my screen because that's what you really want to see. And let's see. All right, so can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so We Make Travel Easy. We've created this very unique itinerary, Floriade 2022 and beyond. And tonight I'm gonna talk to you a lot about Floriade and what that is, because some of you may or may not know. It's once in a decade, amazing experience. I like to say it's a cross between a World's Fair and a Biennale. But we'll just kind of go through here. So a lot of you on this call know me, but some of you may not. So this is me. And, you know, one of my beliefs, I've traveled since I was a child. And, you know, the most wonderful things happen when you least expect it. And travel just gives you many opportunities for that. A little bit about me. Thank you, Mark, for mentioning Conde Nast. That was a great honor. Like I like to say, it's like a Michelin star in the travel business. I've been voted best travel agent in San Francisco by the J Weekly many years. I've been a top producer at my host agency since they started tracking top producers in 2018. I'm on their travel advisory board. We are a virtuoso agency, which those that you may not know, virtuoso is the high end of the travel business. We can offer incredible amenities when you book in virtuoso hotels or partners or stuff like that. I'm an IATA and a ASTA member. So, you know, I'm a professional through and through. But okay, so what you came here now is to hear about Floriade. So Floriade happens once in a decade. It's been going on now for 70 years, so 7 times. It's in the Netherlands. It's the World's International Floral Expo. And you can take a look at what this is, a drawing of what the site is going to be like. It's 150 acres. Oops. And 40 countries participate with pavilions. There's going to be an 850-meter cable car link that will connect the north and the south side of the park. So again, a drawing of what it's going to be like, but you can imagine this beautiful overview. It's on a river. The whole theme this year is the greening of cities. And so they're going to be talking about sustainability and how we can have healthier lives. There's going to be a greenhouse complex that's 170 meters long. There's going to be a bee pavilion. We all know that, you know, if the bees don't pollinate, we don't get the fruits and the vegetables and all the good, the beautiful flowers that we all love. So there's just going to be all kinds of technical fun. There's going to be a lot of food. There'll be food trucks. There'll be tastes from different places. The pavilions, like for example, the Japanese pavilion is going to talk about Japanese flower arranging. Indonesia, I'm sure, is going to have a lot of orchids. I mean, it's just going to be every country is going to be showing the best of their best of what, you know, their ideas for future, for sustainability, for everything. So it's going to be very amazing. There's going to be an arboretum, and the arboretum will have all the trees and plants like an encyclopedia, and you can walk through. And these are just some beautiful pictures of some of the amazing plants and stuff. We are going May 29th to June 7th, which is the absolute perfect time for full bloom in the Netherlands. So we're going to see everything at just the optimum time. Excuse me. The Arboretum will also have some very interesting green structures. In the lower left-hand corner is the Art Museum Flevoland. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it is going to be a fusion of architecture, art, and nature. Unfortunately, the picture that has a little bit better of the building, I couldn't get, but it's really amazing. There's this walk around this round building. It's just going to be fabulous to go into. And the building on the right is the food forum. So it's going to be a place for all kinds of interesting tastes and foods and stuff, besides being all over the park. But there's just going to be everything. I mean, I remember going to the World's Fair in my teenage years in New York, you know, where it's now is Shea Stadium. And they talked about the future of driverless cars. They didn't know the technology, but you know, you went on and then you didn't drive and the cars went around the cities. And now here we're living in for those of you that live in San Francisco, you don't drive down a street without seeing one of those cars with all the stuff on the side, teaching the car how to drive. So, I mean, we may see things that'll be the future. And one of the things that's going to be the future is it's Urban District Hortus. And so what's happening as they're building Floriade, they're going to be creating an urban environment that they're going to leave for the city. When Floriade's over, they're going to just take everything down and kind of think Burning Man, you know, you got to take it all away. But they're going to have an infrastructure there, and then they're going to build a sustainable city that they're going to leave as a gift to Ellesmere, that where this is actually happening. And you know, this green that you see in the front, that's going to be part of where the Arboretum is going to be. But then they're going to build homes, and then wherever you stand in this urban district, you're going to see the trees first, and they're going to obscure the homes. So it's really all about greening. And their plan is that this urban environment is going to last for 100 years. So it's going to be pretty amazing. So really, Floriade it's going to be a celebration of everything green for all of us that love flowers and sustainability and, you know, the taste and the smell and the inspiring gardens and exhibitions. And there's going to be all kinds of surprises. If you have kids, the kids are going to have all kinds of things to do and everything. It's going to be art, culture, technology, food. It's going to be something for everybody. And the growing of green cities. I mean, we all know that we're facing, you know, global warming and climate changes. And if we can learn how to live healthier, greener, I mean, this is going to be on the international stage. And so who knows what you might come away, little tidbits about how to have a more enjoyable, wonderful life. So Floriade, people I know I've never been to Floriade. I'm so excited about going to this, but I have someone who, one of my travel advisors, who's been twice. And she says it's just amazing. So I couldn't think of a better post-COVID trip than to go and be inspired to be in nature and to think of the future and sustainability and so these gorgeous flowers in the arboretum and taste wonderful foods and all kinds of things. And basically you're going to the Netherlands, but you're going to go to 40 different countries because they're going to have pavilions from different countries. If any of you have ever been to the Biennale in Venice, you know what that's like. So it's going to be really fabulous. So I'm inviting you, please join me for this wonderful life-changing experience. So let's talk a little bit about the itinerary that we have. It's a 10-day itinerary. You're starting with 2 days in Amsterdam. And so you will arrive on day 1. We'll have a nice little reception and just say hello because everyone's going to arrive at different times. And then the next day we'll have a full day at Floriade. And then the next morning on day 3, for those early risers that want to, and I suggest that everybody do this, is we are going to the Ellesmere Flower Auction. It is the world's largest flower auction. It's also housed in one of the world's largest buildings. I'm not talking height, I'm talking just footprint of the building. It's one of the world's largest buildings in the whole world. I mean, to me, it's like 1 million football fields. It's like you can't even imagine how big it is. And they actually broker and bid. It's like an auction. Like think about Christie's. It used to be with the paddles, and they'd put up a thing of flowers, and then all these brokers would bid on it, and then whoever won it, it'd go off to the airport because it's right near the airport. Now everybody sits, I was there pre-COVID, everybody sits there with their laptops, but they're still bidding. And then people call in from all over the world and they bid on these lots of flowers, and they're fresh. I mean, you see them there, gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. Judy Bloom was on a trip with me when we actually went there, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I have a friend whose father was a rose grower in Zimbabwe, and all his roses were sold through this flower auction. So it's pretty fabulous. So then if you choose to do that, then you'll come back, have breakfast, check out of the hotel, and then have another full day at Floriade. I mean, there is no other itinerary. If you look at any of the other Tauk, Scenic, Colette, anybody, they have 1 day or a half a day at Floriade. How do you see 150 acres in a half a day? Doesn't happen. So then
Sandy, can I interrupt you with a quick question?
Absolutely.
Very practical from Terry Gardner. She wants to know if this only happens in the Netherlands or other places as well.
It's only in the Netherlands, and it's only once a decade. Unfortunately, 2022 was their date. It wasn't like 2020 or 2021. So, they were fortunate not to be offset like we're dealing with the Olympics in Tokyo. So yes, it's only in the Netherlands. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. So then we'll arrive on the ship, and the AmaPrima is a gorgeous ship. I'll show you pictures later on, and we'll have a lovely dinner. And then the next morning, we're gonna we'll start sailing, and in the morning we'll have a choice of 2 different gardens. We'll have to make a decision sometime before, but it's either going to be the Palais Het Loo, which is the home of the Orange family, which are the royal family in the Netherlands, and it's a very traditional 17th century, and it's unique in the Netherlands. I mean, there's just Baroque gardens. Or we can go to Piet Olaf. He's the leading garden designer on perennials, and there's been a documentary about him, and he is also the designer of the High Line in New York City. So that's a very impressive garden. So this is one of the things. No other itinerary has any special gardens. They only have a day or a half day of Floriade. We are including 4 special gardens in addition to everything else that you get to do. So that's pretty much, let's see, day 4. Day 5, we'll be cruising down the Delta, and in the afternoon we'll go to Veer. Now, my Dutch is non-existent, so I apologize to anyone who speaks Dutch about my pronunciations, but that's the best I can do. So this is a former fishing village that's now a yachting town, and it's just got some gorgeous homes and gardens, and so that'll be fine. Or if you're the kind of person that, you know, you want to, instead of doing a stroll, you want to do a bike tour, you can take a bike and go to Middleburg. I should kind of stop for a minute and tell you, those who have never been on a river cruise, one of the wonderful things about river cruising is not only are all your meals included, your wine and beer is included, and a cocktail reception before dinner is all included. All your excursions are included. And there's also multiple choices. So like, let's say you have a travel partner that you love to travel together, but you're really into gardens and your travel partner isn't. There are many other opportunities to do things, let's say the 4 mornings that they don't want to do the garden things. I mean, they can have a late breakfast, they can, you know, one of the wonderful things about river cruising is the rivers were the highway of Europe. So all these boats pull into the center of these towns, even Brussels, even Antwerp or Ghent or any of the larger cities. You can walk off the ship and do your own thing. You just got to be back in time for when it's going to sail. It's not like an ocean cruise where you're in an industrial port and then you got to take taxis and all kinds of crazy things to get anywhere. Or like in Rome, you're an hour and a half drive out of Rome when they say you're sailing from Rome. You're right in the heart of the town. The ship has bikes on it. We can do bike tours. If you just want to take a bike and go off on your own, you can do that. You want to have a massage in the morning, you want to sit on the top of the ship. There's lots of opportunities. Even in Amsterdam, if 2 days of Floriade is too much for your partner, we're in Amsterdam. What a fabulous town to wander one day on your own. I mean, it just couldn't be better. So really, this is for everyone. So,
And Sandy, can I
yes,
interrupt you? Because again, it's
absolutely.
a time question, again from Terry.
Okay. I
She
love your
wants to
questions, Terry.
Yeah, so she wants to know if it's an AmaWaterways river cruise. And you kind of just said that, but
It's an
maybe you can expand on it.
AmaWaterways ship. AmaWaterways, we're using part of their itinerary. It's AmaWaterways cruise. It's an AmaWaterways staff. It's AmaWaterways cruise manager. AmaWaterways is handling everything. It's their hotel, you know, they're booking the hotels. It's just basically everything, but it is not being marketed to the general public because it's a private charter. But everything is AMA. So it would be exactly the same if you've ever sailed on the AmaPrima, for example, on another AMA itinerary. It's going to be everything is AMA. It's just not being marked to the general public because this is a private charter. But they are arranging all the excursions. They are even arranging all the trips to the private gardens. They're arranging all the transportations. Everything is AMA here. So you know it's first class and top level service, and yet you feel like you're traveling with your family. It's a very warm and welcoming company and the experience on the ship. So then day 6, this is probably one of my favorite places to stop, is Bruges. For those of you who may not have been to Bruges, Bruges is the Venice of Belgium. You know, it is just fabulous. In the center of the city, you can't even have cars or anything. So it's really wonderful. So in the morning, you know, there's a trip to Ghent, which is the capital of East Flanders, or a bike tour. And in the afternoon, we'll do a highlights of Bruges. And those of you may or may not know, the Church of Our Lady is the home to Michelangelo's Madonna and Child. And it's really a stunning sculpture. But, you know, you can cruise on these little boats and the swans go swimming by you. And, you know, they have these canal houses and the dogs hang out the window watching the world go by. And then there's a huge square with these charming things. And then, of course, it's full of Belgian chocolate and shoes and lace. It just couldn't be more charming. And then Brussels, Antwerp. So that morning, we're going to go to Rozentuin, Coloma, which is, I guess, translates to Rose Garden. This has 3,000 varieties of roses. Who knew? 3,000 varieties of roses. It's going to be amazing. And then in the afternoon, we'll have some city tours. There'll be a lot of options. I'm just saying that a chocolate tour. I mean, how can you be in Belgium and not do chocolate? I mean, amazing. you know, again, the bike tours are always available every day. And again, you can go off on your own every day that you want. The next day, we're going to go to the Arboretum West Pilar. And that's a very interesting arboretum. You know, the way that they describe themselves is that they're interested in woody plants. Woody plant is a tree. But, you know, that's what it is. And they're studying trees all over the world and temperature and how to kind of make sure that we can, you know, where we can move trees or do this or whatever. I mean, we all know that trees are going to be an important part of controlling some of this global warming. So the fact that they're doing all this intensive study is pretty amazing. And then in the afternoon, we've got Antwerp walking tour. You know, you can do a beer tasting, waffles and chocolate, Belgian waffles, or a bike tour. I mean, and some of the Michelin star chocolatiers are located in Antwerp. I mean, it was like and also in Ghent. I mean, you know, you just couldn't choose which one to go buy chocolates from because they were all so fabulous. So that's going to be really, really wonderful. And then we get to day 9 to Dordrecht and the botanical garden in Leiden. It's the oldest botanical garden in the Netherlands. It dates back to 1590. And there are 4 gardens. The Closius was 1594, and that where they had exotic, and it started with medicinal plants, and then they started exotic and ornamental plants were kind of like added on. And then very interesting, the Japanese and the Dutch had a relationship that dates back to the 1600s. If you think about Van Gogh went to Japan and, you know, did all his wood carvings and, you know, all that stuff that you see. So that they have a garden that honors that relationship until this day, you know, and the Japanese have a pavilion at Floriade. So the Dutch and the Japanese, maybe there have been a couple of times when, you know, a little stressful, all relationships go through a little stress, but the Japanese and the Dutch have had a really nice relationship and they honor them with a garden there. And then there was a garden that was established in 2005, and it's kind of an example of the major evolution of plants. So if you're interested from a, you know, more scientific point of view. And then in 1993, they established a fern garden. So, you know, ferns are all as ornamental plants. I mean, I was in Costa Rica in January, and they actually are growing ferns because ferns are becoming so popular again for ornamental plants or in gardens and stuff like that, that there's a whole farming industry in Costa Rica just for ferns. And they actually have black plastic over the top so the ferns don't get burnt from the sun. So it's, you know, it's just really interesting. Excuse me. So that'll be the morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll go to I'm sorry, my Dutch again. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site for windmills. And I've been there. It's fabulous. And they actually have a windmill that you can go in and they show you how they did it and the work and the whole thing. You can do it as a walking tour or you can do it as a bike tour. When I did this, I probably hadn't been on a bike in multiple decades. But it's very, you know, there's paths and it's, you know, there's no traffic. And so even if you haven't ridden a bike in a long time, it's really fun. It's totally flat. And if you want to kind of try out you know how they say it's a bicycle, you never forget. So, you know, if you want to get brave and try a bicycle, I would recommend doing it there. And then we're back to Amsterdam, fabulous city. You know, if you wanted to stay on longer, you know, that's an option. We'll disembark from the ship depending on what time, whether you're flying back, what time, or whether you're staying or whatever. But we all have to be off the ship by late morning because another group is going to come on in the afternoon. It'll probably go back into the AMA's regular kind of things. So hope you'll leave with wonderful memories and friendships. That'll be a lifetime, and you'll talk about Floriade and the great experience that you had there. So that's the itinerary. Want to talk about the ship a little bit. The first picture in the upper left-hand corner, that's kind of what a suite looks like. So you can kind of see the balcony, and then in the background is the bed, so it's larger. The one in the middle is what we call a twin balcony. And you'll see those two kind of beige orangey chairs. They're the inside glass enclosed balcony. And then next to them with a curtain, and you can kind of see two chairs through the curtain, that's the outdoor balcony. So if it's lovely and you want to sit outside, you've got an outdoor balcony. If it's too hot or too cold, you've got an indoor balcony. So that's when they call a twin balcony. The one on the far right, that's what we call a French balcony. And what that is, it's floor to ceiling glass sliding doors that you can see, but the balcony is 6 inches. So you can't step out. I mean, you can lean out and take a photo and stuff, but you can't, it's not a balcony that you can sit on. And then the bottom left is the window. This is the lowest category on the ship. And so you have the high windows, you don't have the floor to ceiling. And basically those windows are pretty much at the water line. So your cabin is below. I have stayed in that cabin. It's cozy and nice. I would recommend it more for a couple or a single person than 2 people who are, now let me jump in. All these beds are being shown as a double bed, but they're able to be separated. So if you're traveling with a friend or a family member or something that you're not, that you don't sleep in the same bed with, they separate the beds and put a nightstand between. So those D and E categories get a little tight, but it's doable. Just depends on how friendly you are. In the middle, it's kind of the reception area. So that's where you'll come in. It's like, think about your hotel. It's really like a hotel front desk. Everything's there. And then the far right on the bottom, that's the ship. And if you look at the top of the ship, it's totally open. So if you, it's a beautiful day, we're going to be there in the end of May, beginning of June, we're sailing, you want to be out there in the sun. There's all kinds, there's a bar up there, there's a pool up there. There's all kinds of, if you're an exercise person and you want to, run around the deck or something in the morning or whatever, if we're not in a port where you can get off the ship and do your jogging in some fabulous little European town, that's all fine. And then if you look at the front of the ship, there's kind of like a round bay window. That's really the lounge area. So you basically, when they're sailing, and if you're in a cabin and you don't feel like being in your cabin, or you're in a French balcony or a window cabin, come up here. You can be on the top of the ship, or you can be in the front with this fabulous view, and you can have, there's a cappuccino machine going all the time there. The bar is there. They have lots of little seating areas. AMA has adapted for COVID. They have plexiglass that created nice little seating areas so you can feel really comfortable. One of the things that I'll let you know that AMA did in 2020, the summer of 2020, they chartered several of their ships to a German tour operator, and it was all AMA crew, and they followed all their safety protocols. That summer they had 1,400 passengers. The ships are only about 100. This is 160 passengers, but they had that many sailings, not one case of COVID. So we know AMA has tried and true protocols, and they know how to keep everybody safe. You can follow me on social media. There's going to be a lot. We have actually created on LinkedIn an Experience Floriade 2022 and River Cruise with We Make Travel Easy. So there's always going to be updates there. I'm on Facebook. We're on Twitter. This will be on YouTube. So I'm really easy to find. Plus, we'll leave it open to questions. I love this quote. Using a travel advisor is like a great bottle of wine. You may never know all the love and attention that went into creating the trip, but you'll definitely taste it. And that's what we do for all our clients. We love creating extraordinary, fabulous itineraries that are custom tailored to you. I can send I can send 4 different people to the same itinerary, and you would never know, because we customize it to their ideas, what they like to do, and all this other kind of stuff. So why don't we open it up to questions? This is how you can get in touch with me. I'm easy to find, easy to call. So Molly, do we have any questions in the chat, or is anybody raising their hands?
We don't have any more questions, but if people do have a question for Sandy, not just about Floriade, but ask her anything about
Right,
travel.
anything about travel that came up. This is your time.
And so I think we'll, instead of doing the chat, maybe we'll use the reaction and we can see who's got a question if they want to speak forward. Terry's got a question. I love you, Terry. I miss you.
Miss you too, Molly. I just wanted to know how many people you can take on this, because I was trying to figure out if this is something I could write about for LA Times or if it's a smaller group, so it wouldn't make sense.
There's 160 passengers.
So you could fill up the whole ship if you get enough?
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, put it in the LA Times. We'd love to have them.
Well, and Terry, well, maybe I should ask Sandy, can we talk about your incentive program? Because Terry might be that kind of person that could help you with that.
This isn't the right place for that. But if Terry, if you want,
Okay.
we can have an offline chat about that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
About travel during COVID? What do you need to do? What's happening? What countries are open? What's it like to be on an airplane? Any other kinds of?
I have one more follow-up if I could,
Sure.
Sandy. I noticed, because I Googled, because I didn't know anything about Floriade. And apparently they do some version of it every year in Australia. Do you know anything about that?
They use that name, but I don't think that they're related in any kind of way. I've seen that too. I think it's more like a garden show from what I've seen about it. It's not an it takes place in Melbourne, and I think it's really pretty much localized there. I think I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look again, but I think it's kind of through the city. I think it's more like a fabulous flower show than and they just happen to use the name Floriade.
Right. Well, the thing that sounds so cool about this is that it happens every decade, once a decade.
Exactly. I mean, talk about, some of these people like to have, you go to a dinner party or cocktail party and you talk about your travels and you can go, well, I was at Floriade, and, oh, I want to go. That sounds so great. Sorry, got to wait 10 years.
So Sandy, Beverly has a question, and Beverly, if you're comfortable asking that publicly for public view, that would be great, or I can just go through your chat message.
Yeah, Beverly, feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the editor and publisher of the gardening magazine in North Carolina.
Oh, great.
And I was actually approached years ago by another tour operator trying to put together something with tulips in the Netherlands, except in 8 days it was seeing the tulips for 4 hours. So it didn't seem like it would appeal to my audience. This might appeal it to them more, but
right.
Typical if I work this through some of my people, some of my readers, are there, and maybe you want to answer this later, any kind of incentive if I am able to push this through to some of my readers?
We have kind of a program for people who can put groups of 20 people together.
Okay.
So, and I'm happy to talk about offline, just like I said to Terry. So if you can put 20 people together, we have something we can talk about, which would be.
Yeah, if somebody could, reach out to me, email me with some info.
Afterwards. Happy to do that, Beverly.
Timing is good. I'm working on the fall issue.
Great.
With the mid-August deadline.
Great. We'll get back to you right away. And just to let you know, the San Francisco Orchid Society is putting a group together on this. And yeah. I'm now talking to a catering company that does a lot of weddings and has a relationship with a floral thing. And the caterer has published several books, and we're just in the early stages, but they're very excited about this. And so they're going to be doing that. So there's going to be a lot of professional floral people in the industry as well as just, you know, amateur gardeners who really love flowers. And one thing is going to be fabulous to be on a ship with everybody who really has an appreciation for flowers and gardens, and some will be professional and some won't, but you know, everybody will have the kind of that same interest. And what fabulous friends to meet from all over the country. You know,
Right.
share
That's
that
why it
interest.
appeals to me more than just 4 hours tiptoeing through the tulips on the last day. So,
No, this isn't 4 hours at Kuchenhof. No. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
this is 2 full days at Floriade and 4 private tours of important gardens.
Okay. And I assume someone will be emailing what pricing is, because I didn't see anything on
There is, if
pricing.
you go to, on the bottom where you see wemaketraveleasy.com,
Uh-huh.
there is, if you go to my website, there is a tab that says Floriade Expo. And
Oh,
then,
okay.
you know, that has again, the itinerary. And then on the bottom, there's another button for, you know, pricing, because every cabin has a different price if it's single, so that it outlines everything. But it starts at, if for the E category cabin, the window, it starts at $47.95 a person,
Okay.
sharing double occupancy. But that again is,
Okay.
that's the 10 days. That's your meals, all your meals on the ship. It's not your meals in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, it's only breakfast, but it includes the 2 nights at a 5-star hotel in Amsterdam, all your transportation around, all your touring. Ama just got another award for their culinary things. They're the only river cruise company that has gotten this French award. So their food is fabulous. I can tell you, on an Ama ship, they don't have very many freezers. The only freezer they have is for ice cream. Nothing else is frozen on the ship. They onboard all fresh foods almost every day. And they, like, wherever they're sailing, they try and, you know, it kind of is the feeling of the culinary food from that region. So you really feel like you're eating in that country. And the other thing is they can accommodate any kind of food allergy, dietary restrictions, whatever. I mean, if you're gluten, lactose, you know, the only thing that they don't have is kosher. I'm not sure how they would kind of do that, but anything else they can totally take care of. And then your wines and beers are served. At breakfast, they'll serve champagne. At lunch and dinner is beer and wine. And then an hour before dinner is a cocktail reception, so you can have your cocktail. And then after dinner, you go up to the lounge. Sometimes there's entertainment, whatever. There's a full bar there that you would pay for. But what I like to do is, when I'm leaving dinner, I just have them fill my glass of wine up and go up to the lounge, you know, so you don't even have to get that after dinner drink if you don't want. But, you know, if you're a cognac or scotch or, you know, whatever, you have to have your Baileys or something after dinner, you can do that.
Well, if someone could just reach out to me with the group details, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Be happy to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Beverly and Terry, both of you have asked for follow-ups, and I will make sure to introduce you to Sandy so that you can continue the conversation, and anybody else as well.
And I'll just throw this out for some people. You know, if you're involved with a nonprofit, we can make this into a fundraiser. I mean, the San Francisco Orchid Society is doing this, and it's, you know, a fundraiser. I do this for Filoli. For those of you that are in the Bay Area and know Filoli, I've been doing their travel program for several years now, and that's a fundraiser for them. So if you have some sort of nonprofit that you would like to put a group together and make it a fundraiser, I have a way of doing that where, you know, all the people who participate, they do get their tax write-off for whatever the donation amount that the nonprofit decides. So, and like for this, it's a nice thing for a nonprofit to kind of like training wheels, try a travel program. You don't have to make any commitments because I've committed to the ship, and you just kind of, you know, bring your group together and we'll create the donation part of it. And, you know, it becomes becomes a nice thing. And then if it's very successful and your donors and your members like it, then we can look at replicating it, stuff that's specific for you in future years. It's a great way to get close to donors. It's a great way for your people in your nonprofit to do that. I mean, we all get letters all the time for all these wonderful charities that want your money. But if you have a close experience with your donors, the chances of them moving their contribution somewhere else gets diminished. And our experience at Filoli is that people tend to increase their donations after they've been in the travel program.
Sandy, this is Jeff Harris
Another
from
question.
Orchid Society. I was just speaking up to thank you for.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, I was listening in. So nice job. I just thought I'd say hello and acknowledge all the work you've been doing with us, and thank you. Yeah.
Oh, great, Jeff. Well, we're so excited to have the Orchid Society. I put that kind of orchidy looking thing in the middle. Did you see that on the
did.
Arboretum?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about you when I did that. So we're very excited and very honored to have the San Francisco Orchid Society participate in this. So it's really, really great.
And then Sandy, you have another question. Will the United States have a booth? Or
I don't know that. That's a good question. I don't know that that's come up yet, but I can check.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
I haven't seen them in any of the pavilions.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. So at this point, I don't know, and
We
I can
can get
check. And we have the
That's from,
we have that Floriade LinkedIn page, and so if we find out stuff, we'll be posting that on there.
Yeah, we're
And then
posting every time
And I
there's a
can-
new country that announces on that page. So we'll
Okay, yeah.
be
So
sure to
you
do
can
it if the
watch.
US announces.
yeah, but so this was from Terry with LA Times, so I can also follow up with her and make sure she gets her question answered.
Perfect. I mean, I know that I don't know all of them, but I know Japan, Germany, Indonesia, Italy, those have all been there. And, they just kind of, I think countries are just starting to kind of make their announcements, but they've done this for 7 times. So, they know what they're talking about. Any other questions or thoughts or comments?
And I just want to point out that even though this is sort of Floriade specific, Sandy is obviously a well-accomplished and has great accolades for her travel advising. So we can also open this up to anything travel related beyond Floriade.
So it could have anything. While you're thinking of a good question, if you look at the photos on the right-hand side and the very bottom one, that's a bridge. It's a drawing of a bridge, but that's a bridge that's going to be built and manufactured from waste flow from the Almere River. That is the river that flows by Floriade. So, I mean, they're just coming up with such creative, technological, sustainability things. I think it's just going to be so fascinating to see all this.
No other
Okay.
questions, huh?
All right. Well, I
Well,
want to
Sam-
thank.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to thank you all for your time and for coming, and please feel free to contact me with any questions or thoughts or whatever. It's going to be an amazing trip. What a great post-COVID healthy way to go. And I'd love to see you on board. We're going to have a fabulous time.
Oh, Sandy, this was great. And yeah, we'll definitely connect, but I think it's just a fantastic opportunity. And it's a fabulous itinerary. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be a huge success. So we'll definitely connect. Thanks.
Thank you, Lee. Lee is a colleague of mine and a dear friend, and she's a fabulous travel advisor located in Florida in the greater Miami area. So, and she's working on, some people from her area and gardens in her area. So
Exactly.
very excited to collaborate with Lee Lennon.
It's going to be great. Looking forward to it. And nice to meet you all as well. Thank you.
Well, Sandy, I've heard you do this many times and I learn something new every single time you do it. So I love that you add something new. Just another reminder for you, if you want to get a copy of the slides, please put your email address down in the chat. And if you have any more questions, send them on in to Molly and to Sandy. And keep an eye on all the social media because we're constantly adding material to it to get the drum rolling, to get the excitement up. I think it's fantastic. So thank you so much, Sandy, for all you did. And Molly, thanks for your help. Michael as well. Glad we could do this.
Great, thank you. I look forward to seeing you on board the AmaPrima.
Ciao.
Night.